Welcome back, Devils fans, and it is another Cardiac Kids special live from the Rock. The New Jersey Devils take out the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 4-2 on January night. Early on in the month, first home game of the new year, and the Devils get it done at home. And wow, first thing I'd like to say is Jeff had pointed out on a previous video I'd uploaded, the Brendan Smith fight. You could check that out, that I already broke my boycott of attending games until VTech is traded. Guys, you know, sometimes I get very in the moment. I get heated and I say things I don't mean. I love this team. I love the Devils. I love hockey. And I wanted to go see the Connor Bedard show live in New Jersey. And Brendan Smith had other ideas. And so the Connor Bedard show lasted all of warm-ups, which I'll put a warm-up video of Connor Bedard up later tonight or tomorrow. But he played a few shifts, and then Brendan Smith caught him, popped him, and Connor Bedard left the game. And so the Connor Bedard show in New Jersey was a very brief show. Not too many minutes played for Connor Bedard till Brendan Smith popped him. And that essentially set the tone for the evening, and it felt like a mid-90s hockey game, guys. As I've mentioned on the channel at length numerous times, I'm a fan of the physical stuff, the chippiness, the fisticuffs. I love all of it. I wish we saw more of it. And tonight felt like a division rivalry playoff game. Hitting, scrums, fights, semi-cheap shots. It had a little bit of everything, a lot of chippiness throughout the game. It had that snarl, it had that edge, and it felt like a playoff game. I think this team maybe needed something like this to kind of jolt us and wake us up. But overall, an exciting game to be at. The fans were into it. Everyone was going nuts. Seemed like there was some sort of skirmish every couple minutes. And the Devils found a way to win tonight. And it seemed like we may have been Vanacek'd again, but we gutted out a victory from the jaws of defeat. Let's just take a look at the scoring. Once again, the Devils do not score first. And Dickinson scores on the power play for the Hawks, giving them the 1-0 lead. After 1-0 Chicago Blackhawks. And I thought it may be another one of those nights where we make a mediocre goaltender look phenomenal. We didn't really test him too much in the first, but it seemed like we were just tossing rubber and he was going to find everything. And I was hoping that it wasn't going to be one of those games. And so in the second period, the Devils tied up on a beautiful play by Shimon Nemitz, faking out everybody and dishing it off to Holtz. Wide open net where he deposits that biscuit for the 1-1 tie. 1-1 tie. Not to be tie for too much longer, as 8 minutes later, on a shorthanded attempt, Chicago scores again on an absolutely horrific goal allowed by Vitek Vanacek to give the Blackhawks a 2-1 lead. And at this point, I'm mumbling some obscenities, and some may have been out loud for people to hear around me. It was just a deflating goal for Vanacek to give up in that spot in a tight game, given the way the game was playing out. It seemed like it was going to be tight the whole way. He gives up that horrible goal. Blackhawks lead 2-1 after 2, going into the third period. And now it's time for Shimon Nemitz to pop one. Scores off a nice little wrister, ties the game up at 2. And about 6 minutes later, the man of the hour, the man of the month, Motor Mike McLeod, doing what Mike McLeod does, scoring big goals, giving the Devils a 3-2 lead. Does this crazy little pirouette afterwards and almost wiped out after he scored the goal. Motor Mike puts the boys up 3-2 with about 8 minutes left. And with the empty net, Tyler Toffoli deposits one for his 16th, giving the Devils the 4-2 lead. That's how the game ends. Devils win 4-2. A massive win at the Rock tonight. And we currently are sitting in the first wild card spot, my friends, with 44 points. The New Jersey Devils are in the first wild card spot and only trailing the Islanders by 2 points with a game in hand on the Islanders. And we trail the Carolina Hurricanes by 4 points with 2 games in hand on them as well. So this New Jersey Devils club is just, we found a way in the past month or so to just claw and keep getting these points and keep climbing up in the standings. And, you know, like I've said in the past video, it might be hard to run the Rangers down to win the division, but I definitely believe it's possible to finish second or third in the division. So I think that's something for the boys to aspire to, just not make the playoffs as a wild card, but to be one of the top 3 finishers in the division and, you know, finish as high as we can and hopefully have some home ice advantage in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And so let me know what you guys thought about the game. I mean, wow. The physicality was just unexpected and wild. You know, you expect those sort of things in division games or sometimes even conference games, but for a random Chicago team who's not really playing for much at this point to come in here and to have this type of game with this type of action and physicality is absolutely phenomenal. And again, you know, tip of the cap to Brendan. I'm going to call him Brendan Balls Smith. Brendan Smith has been chastised by this fan base and myself early on in the season for taking some boneheaded penalties and things like that. And he doesn't always make the best defensive plays. But this guy has more balls than anyone on our team by far. I was sitting on the blue line, and I knew someone was going to try to make him answer the bell after he knocked Bedard out of the game. Obviously, you know, whether it's a clean hit or not, and I have to watch the replay, but everything I've read and have been texted and heard on the radio, everyone says it was a clean hit. Bedard, you know, was caught napping, and welcome to the big leagues, kid. He got popped with a shot, and it happens. You know, hopefully he's not injured long term or anything like that, and he comes back sooner than later. But with that being said, anytime a star player, especially a kid like that, gets dropped in a game, one of the teammates have to stand up and make the guy who hit him answer the bell. And not much after that happened, there was a face-off, and I saw Foligno and Brendan Smith jawing, and they were like right near me. So I had the camera ready and in place because I saw them talking about it, and I'm like, as soon as this puck drops, these boys are going to go. And did they go? Smith landed some nice shots. It was a pretty long fight. I have to check back. I believe it registered at over a minute, which by today's NHL standards for fights, a minute is like a marathon compared to most of these fights now are like a couple punches and a wrestling takedown. You'll be lucky if you see 10, 12 seconds of action. This thing went on for over a minute. Shout out to the referees and linesmen for not jumping in there right away because there was some lulls in the action where they were kind of hanging on, and you know they could have jumped in there and broke it up prematurely, but they let them go, and it was a pretty damn good scrap. And Foligno never returned. So Brendan Smith tonight knocked Connor Bedard out of the game with a hit, and then knocked Foligno out with a fist. I mean, wow, Brendan Smith just getting it done. And I wish we had another guy or two like him in the lineup. But wow, Brendan Smith taking care of business. The second best fight for him on the year. Obviously the number one fight on the season for him being when he just bloodied Anders Lee. But wow, Brendan Smith has earned my respect. Not many guys are dropping the gloves and taking on all comers. And this guy did it in spades tonight with a marathon fight. There's a video. I have a video live from in the arena of the fight. You can check that out on the channel as well. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Wrapping up here. Oh, Jack hurt late in the game, left down the tunnel. We don't know what the status of that is. That's a huge disappointment. And again, the injury bug continues to nag this New Jersey Devils club. We have to be towards the top of the league in man games lost to injury and illness and whatever else. It's really been a shame that we haven't had a healthy lineup for any sort of long duration. People just keep going down with injuries. You know, Timo again and Palat, and now who knows if Jack's going to play tomorrow. And it's unfortunate. It's part of the game, and that's where you really need to rely on depth to make up for these guys' absences when they're out. So I guess, you know, maybe tomorrow morning we'll get a report on Jack, or maybe it'll be a game time decision. I could definitely see them going that route with, oh, it's a game time and being very vague about the injury. But hopefully Jack is in the lineup tomorrow night at the Rock against the Canucks and his brother Quinn, and we'll find out at some point tomorrow. I think that's basically it. And I still think Vanacek needs to go. We could have lost the game tonight because of him, but, you know, I'm not going to harp on that anymore. We got the win. A win is a win is a win is a win. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.